The final week of OTA practices for the Washington Commanders are officially in the books. And with that being said, we have more news, notes, highlights, observations to talk about in this video as they slowly start to prepare for mandatory minicamp and training camp as well in just about a month and a couple of weeks. But with that being said, in this video, we're going to cover everything you need to know about OTAs, a couple of guys who have stood out, as well as what to look forward to going forward. Now, before we dive into the video, like we always do, I want to give a major shout out to, all of the media members around Washington and the Commanders because they do such a good job getting these highlights out for us and, kind of enabling us to make this video because without them, these videos aren't possible, right? So go follow them on Twitter. They're going to keep you guys updated with all the highlights from every single practice. Scott Abram, John Keim, and the Commanders as well, right? So go follow them on Twitter real quick before we jump into the video. And with that being said, let's jump into the video, right? Now, the biggest takeaway from Commanders, OTAs was, Jayden Daniels. I mean, dude, this guy has been extremely locked in. Not only do I think Jayden Daniels is probably the most talented quarterback in terms of, dual threat ability in this year's NFL draft, but the work ethic is something I have never seen before. I mean, you have guys in camp already, for example, Jonathan Allen. Right? He said, dude, this dude's work ethic is insane. He beats Jonathan Allen to practice to the facility every day. I mean, it is insane. He gets up early. He goes, gets a workout in, trains before people even get there for practice. So this dude's been so locked in, wasting no time. His teammates are in love with the fact that he's their quarterback and, the talent stands out above all. I mean, you can tell from day one, the versatility, the dynamic, the throws that he makes, the confidence he has to lead an offense as a rookie. I mean, dude, he is out here commanding the team, telling telling the guys where they need to be, and it's so early in camp. So it seems like the man knows the playbook so well already. And you know what? The biggest takeaway from my eyes, especially, is Jayden Daniels is going to be a stud. I know it's early, but I think they've surrounded him with some really good pieces in Zach Ertz and Benson at the tight end position. You have Austin Eckler, you have Brian Robinson, and then you have Terry McLaurin, Luke McCaffrey, Jahan Dotson. I mean, I love what they have done to this team. They have built a nice little O-line here, adding a couple of brand new starters. They believe Brandon Coleman could be, the future of the left tackle position, which is huge to get in the third round, right? But also, you talk about a little bit of a mentor in Marcus Mariota, and I think that is the perfect mentor for Jayden Daniels. So the biggest takeaway right away is definitely, Jayden Daniels' development, his progress, and everything that he's done so far has been massive. Now, let's actually get into another player that I think has been really, really underrated here. A great pickup for them. It's going to go under the radar, but he's going to end up being a big-time performer for them. Dorrance Armstrong. Now, obviously, losing Montez Sweat, Chase Young, trading both those guys last trade deadline, they really needed to beef up the defensive line and make sure that they were going to be able to get to the quarterback, right? They have the best interior defensive line in all of football with the guys that they have, right? You talk about the Jonathan Allens and the Deron Paynes, and you also have Jerzon Newman, Johnny Newman, who's going to be an absolute stud when he's healthy, right? But then you add a guy like Dorrance Armstrong, a veteran from Dallas, with Joe Witt Jr., with a guy like Dan Quinn in Dallas. I mean, they love what he brings and already knows the system that they want to run. I love the addition of Dorrance Armstrong. Now, before we get into a couple more guys here who have been extremely vital to OTA so far, make sure you guys do me a big favor. Hit the like button, not only so we can get the video out to more Commanders fans, but also, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you're new. It's free, it doesn't cost anything, and we will be covering the Commanders throughout the entirety of the offseason, okay? You might ask what that entails. Not only the rest of OTAs and mandatory minicamp, but also training camp, preseason, regular season, and we're going to be breaking down some all-22 coaches film throughout all of next year as well, man. Join the family. And we also will be live streaming during some Commanders game, watching the game, right? So make sure you guys follow my Twitch. We're going to break down film on Twitch as well. You'll find the link in the description. Matty Dubs with 3 S's. With that being said, let's jump back into the video. Now, another player who has been, so good, right? The defensive coordinator, Joe Witt Jr., is in love with this dude. Frankie Louvu. You talk about dynamic versatility of being able to drop back into his zone, come off the edge as a rush man, but also being able to come up and stop the run, fill some gaps. I mean, Frankie Louvu is the guy who can do it all, right? Not only is he going to be a great player alongside of Bobby Wagner, but he's also a guy that can help develop some of their younger guys. Jordan McGee, Mikael Walker, Jamin Davis, right? I mean, the depth at linebacker right now, in my eyes anyway, is huge. So I think Frankie Louvu and everything that we've heard from, Joe Witt Jr. and Dan Quinn is true. They love him. They know what he can bring and think that he is going to work hard each and every single day and make himself and his teammates better. And I think Bobby Wagner has been a major factor in that as well. I mean, dude, Bobby Wagner, the ultimate veteran to have on your football team right now. And then I want to talk about two guys who are going to be extremely vital, but are going to swoop under the radar. Nobody's really going to talk about them too much unless you're a Washington Commanders fan. One being Jeremy Reeves. Ended up getting him back, but he is one of the best special teamers in football right now. This dude is so dynamic on special teams, and with the new kickoff rule, it allows a lot more strategy and strategic play. And I think that special teams coaches are going to be so much more valuable. But not only that, special teams players are going to be extremely valuable. And one, Jeremy Reeves is a guy who can do it all for you. I think he's going to be massive for the Commanders next season. And then another guy, Anthony Pittman, who they bring over from Detroit, a guy who's just so smart, so gifted when it comes to special teams, tackling, and reading where to go. I mean, this dude's gonna bring it as well. So I think special teams is gonna be a very important piece of football next season, and I think people are gonna slowly start to realize special teams is going to make a whole big difference, man. I'm telling you right now. So these guys are going to be really important, and I think they've got some good ones. Now, in terms of the punt return, kick return situation, I'm not really too sure who's going to be the guys here. But you look at Jamison Crowder, you look at maybe Jahan Dotson or Chris Rodriguez. One of those guys will probably end up being your guy. Maybe Emmanuel Forbes been taking, a couple of reps here and there. But you know what? So far, you have to love what they've done to this roster, what they've done to this team, and how they're looking, right? Especially Jayden Daniels. I know we already talked about him, but the fact that this dude looks comfortable, he looks in charge, in control, and it's pretty much, we're not even in training camp yet. Dude, I mean, there's highlights all over the field. They're making big-time throws. And our first time seeing him in 11-on-11s, listen, he was insane. The first time he was in 11-on-11s, the man was making every single throw. He was throwing darts. He was making insane passes. And, this is a guy that is going to be able to command this offense for a very, very long time. So, listen, if you're a Commanders fan right now, the future is looking extremely bright. With not only what they've added, but the young players as well, the Ben Sinnott's and the Jayden Daniels, the Luke McCaffreys, the Brandon Coleman's, the Mike Samerstills, the Johnny Newtons, the Jordan McGee's, right? So man, I am in love with what they have done, and I'm excited to see what they do going forward. I think they have a lot of potential. I think they have a lot of talent, and I think this team is going to be extremely underrated next season. I think they're going to win a lot of football games, at least for what you think. I think they're going to surprise a lot of people. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, join the family, and we'll be covering mandatory minicamp next week as well. I'll see you guys then. Peace.